Alright, so I've been talking about Star Wars lately. I started with The Phantom Menace, went through the prequel trilogy, Solo, a Star Wars story. So I guess I've covered like episodes 1, 2, 3, 3.4, 3.5, and now I get to Star Wars, I think, episode 3.75. Today I want to talk about Star Wars droids. Yeah, Star Wars droids. If you're not familiar, this came out in 1985. It was paired with the Ewoks, and it was the Ewoks Droids Adventure Hour. You know, I was like 14 when this came out, so I didn't really watch a lot of cartoons, especially on a Saturday morning, because I wanted to sleep in on Saturday morning. I'm 14. I'm not freaking getting up on a godly hour. I'm getting up at noon. I'm 14, man. I got other shit to do. But, you know, in a way I kind of regret that I never did see this one. Or no more than like 1 or 2 episodes when it was actually on the air. I mean, I just didn't think about it. And I guess I saw an episode maybe in my 30s or 40s. But just recently I watched a whole bunch of droids. I mean, I had the DVD. But on the DVD was like 2 random episodes of the show. I don't think they were even consecutive episodes. But it was just Star Wars droids, here you go. This is all you're getting. And I think it came out in the maybe early 2000s. So long before Disney Plus came and gave us all the entire series of droids. I watched a little bit of the DVD of those 2 episodes that were on there. Then I ended up selling the DVD at a trade show. And I felt really bad about that. I went back and I watched it on Disney Plus. And I watched, I don't know, 4 or 5 just random episodes. Out of those random episodes that I watched, I gotta say I kind of enjoyed them all. I wasn't compelled to go and finish every single story. I just wanted to get a good sense of what the whole series was about. And I must say I did enjoy it. Of course, the whole thing has to do with R2-D2 and C-3PO. And it takes place before A New Hope, or 1977's Star Wars. So this is like the previous masters that these droids had before they met Luke Skywalker. Now there's a little bit of a continuity, well, I'm not going to say error, but a little bit of a continuity hiccup here. Because in A New Hope, C-3PO says,
"Our last master was Captain Antilles."
And so he was therefore working on the same ship, the Tantive 4, that he was assigned to at the end of Revenge of the Sith. And then wiped his memory and he's like, I don't remember anything before this. But in here, C-3PO and R2-D2 in this series go from having like many different masters, or I think 3 different anyway. There's one story arc, deals with a bunch of like racers, like not necessarily pod racers, but very much like pod racing. More like a street gang, street racers. And that rears its ugly head back in the Book of Boba Fett. Yeah, apparently that's where they got the inspiration for this crap. And then there's another master or whatever that the droids have that gets involved with this like royal lineage dispute or battle or whatever, and there's these purple guys with like big ass sideburns coming out of their faces, and but then in the last arc they work for some guy named Mungo or Mungo something. He's basically like Space Jesus, or I don't know, I guess Space Chris Christopherson, or bearded hero guy James Brolin, maybe, put in space. Yeah, so I mean, the series goes through these like 3 different masters that the droids have. As far as I know, it doesn't like resolve itself and wrap it up to get back to the point where Well, let's say Rogue One. I mean, we know C-3PO and R2-D2 are on Yavin 4 at the end of, or in the middle of Rogue One. And then they end up on the same ship as Princess Leia at the very end of that. I don't know, I guess fill in the blanks and figure out what these two did to get them back into the Rebel Alliance. Anyway, I'm not going to blame this show for breaking canon or anything like that. First of all, the term wasn't really invented when it came to like pop culture. I mean, people didn't say things like that. Oh, this is canon. No, they said, well, this is the official history of Star Wars. Because in Shadows of the Empire, this happened, and in Splinter of the Mind's Eye, this happened, and in the expanded universe, I remember the expanded universe, and they just throw all that shit away in like 2014 or whenever Lucas sold Star Wars. Yeah, so none of that shit mattered anymore, so that includes droids. Droids don't fucking matter anymore. But you know what? I mean, that show has like way more connection and is way more Star Wars than the Ewoks show that was running opposite to. I mean, the Ewoks, like, yeah, I get it. Like, of course, they're going to turn us into the Smurfs, right? Like, we need another Smurfs. We got Ewoks. Who don't fucking love Ewoks? So they make this show and they put a bunch of stupid characters and they make a bunch of stupid shit that has nothing to do with the rest of Star Wars. You know, I did a review for the Ewoks like way back in the day, like 5 years ago or something. And I don't know if I even gave it a letter grade, but overall, I guess it's like a B-. It's interesting because it's Star Wars, it's still Ewoks, and it's a quality cartoon. So B-. But droids, I don't know, it's better. This is way more Star Warsy. First of all, you have the voice of Anthony Daniels as C-3PO, just like in the movies.
We seem to be made to suffer. It's our lot in life.
I mean, he does a lot of talking, and he gets a lot of lines in this, and that's all good. But he's never really the main character, but he sort of is. He's like the plot exposition guy, and he also translates R2-D2 for whatever he's saying. But yeah, you hear him quite a bit in this, and I guess he's fine. I mean, C-3PO was never my favorite character. I found him way funnier in the original trilogy, just because he was a bumbling idiot and he thought he was the shit and he was really just a fucking idiot. But then in the prequel trilogies, they try and make him a full-blown, like, comic sidekick character, and I just hated that.
This is such a drag.
But anyway, he's okay here. I've never really liked Anthony Daniels very much. I think he's kind of a douche, but I don't know the guy. Just, seeing interviews with him and stuff, and it's like, he's very full of himself and he's very proud of his achievements with the Star Wars franchise. As well, he should be, but he's just irritating. I don't know, just like the character. Just like that fucking golden droid. And
Chewie, take the professor in the back and plug him into the hyperdrive.
Oh, but his physical character, like the way that they draw C-3PO in here, is kind of goofy. He's like way more like rubbery. And he moves around. He's way more active and he does way more shit than he ever did in the Star Wars trilogy, the original trilogy. And in certain shots, I noticed, I don't know what's the deal with this. They only gave him 3 fingers. He's got his thumb, but his thumb and 3 fingers. And it's like, is that because it's easier to draw? Like, do you pay by the finger? Like, I don't get it. Like, why the fuck would you do that? Like, we all know, we've seen the movies. We know that C-3PO has like a human hand. It's like, or 4 fingers and a thumb. What the fuck? They Simpsonized C-3PO. Oh, and R2-D2. Basically, he's not voiced by anybody other than like the sound effect guy, who I'll get to in a moment. But he's basically just like beeps and whistles and beep boop 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 boop, like looping sound effects that that you've heard in all 3 of those Star Wars movies. You've heard R2-D2 make that sound at least once. So it's like a whole soundboard of R2-D2 in here. But the way they draw him is really stupid, and he's also like super rubbery, and it really like slapsticks the hell out of R2-D2, and I think it's really dumb. because it's used mostly just to comedic effect, or I guess to portray the character's emotion better. Because they actually do go into the character of like C-3PO and R2-D2, and it's deeper than you'd think. And it's also more canon than you would think. Okay, Boba Fett, who actually appears in this show as well, you know, is working for Jabba the Hutt, but he also has like side gigs. He's a bounty hunter and blah blah blah, and they keep accurate to his story, like at least up to the point where this was written, right? And other stuff, like there's parts where the Empire is involved. There's not really that much like Empire stuff in here, which is really funny. I guess in like the second season they threw some more in there, but there's one point, at least in the last episode that I watched, which is called the Race to the Finish, I think, involved Boba Fett, so they pulled him in there, and then the Empire, but only in the way that somebody had like a wrecked Imperial shuttle, like a stolen Imperial shuttle. And imagine it must have been pretty hard to get around in one of those things pre-Battle of Yavin. This show may not be completely canon, but you can really see where the future, like prequel trilogy and sequel trilogy and other stuff, probably even the Clone Wars and like Disney Plus shows going forward from this, you can tell that they're mining this show for content. First of all, there's a character in here called Kybo Ren. He's like a cartoon pirate guy or something like that. He's a space pirate. Basically, that's what the guy looks like. He has nothing to do with the Sith or the New Order or the Empire or the Rebels or anything like that. He's a criminal space pirate. But somebody that was writing The Force Awakens decided that was a cool name. Yeah, well, nobody's gonna remember the fucking Droids cartoon from 1985. This is a new generation. We're gonna steal that name. Well, you gotta change it a little bit, because, you know. Oh, and there's another one. There are these, like, street racer guys. Remember I mentioned those before? Who all have, like, super stupid haircuts. And they look really dumb. They're supposed to be like space punks or whatever. And there's the one big fat guy with a mohawk, and then there's the other guy with the whole half of his head is shaved. And then there's a lady with a fucking, I don't know, she's got a vagina on her head. And apparently this was influencing the Book of Boba Fett. Yeah, you know that really, really stupid episode with the like neon chrome, like super shiny, super powerful rainbow chrome bike gang or whatever. Oh, it's the dumbest thing ever. Apparently their characters and their style and all that stuff was modeled after Star Wars droids. Hooray! Didn't look stupid or anything then. Maybe it'll look far stupider now. Oh yeah, and then the fact that they're racers and they have like this, well, it's not a pod, but it's a speeder, and they go to the speeder race, and it's called the Boonta Speeder Race, referenced later in The Phantom Menace as the Boonta Eve pod race.
There's a big race tomorrow on Boonta Eve.
So they made it in the movie where Boonta Eve, I guess Boonta is like a holiday or something like that, whereas in this cartoon, I think Boonta is like the place of where it is, so what the fuck? They're just straight up like stealing the idea or the name or the whatever, and come on, cover your tracks a little better than that, boys. Anyway, whatever. It's different in this cartoon because instead of flying around in the desert and whatever, they fly around in these fucking tubes and stuff, and then Boba Fett is like hunting R2-D2 and C-3PO in a speeder in these tubes, and then they throw a thermal detonator at him and they almost kill Boba Fett. C-3PO and R2-D2 almost kill Boba Fett. Anyway, he flies out of the tube and he doesn't get blown up, but whoa, I mean, you know, there's so many connections in this cartoon, this dumbass cartoon from 1985. It kicks the shit out of the Ewok cartoons. It's not super exciting, but I mean, it's quality shit here, you know? The animation is really good. The sound effects are all there. All those, like, anytime somebody fires a blaster, you swear to God you're watching a Star Wars movie, because you're hearing those same sound effects. Like even the way that fighters fly in the sky in space or whatever, or the way a speeder sounds when it goes by, all that shit is exactly the same. Mostly because Ben Burtt was involved in this. Ben Burtt, if you don't know, was like the leading like sound guy in the original Star Wars trilogy and all the ones going forward. I mean, when it comes to sound design, this guy is like the master, right? He created the blaster sound, the lightsaber sound, and R2-D2. Anytime it kind of sounds almost human, R2-D2, where he makes like a scream or whatever, that's Ben Burtt. Also, Ben Burtt was involved in this show, and he actually wrote like a couple of episodes, I believe, or if not a writer, then a director. So yeah, there's a lot of talent that goes into this. Stuart Copeland of The Police. You remember the band, The Police? You know, if you're born after 2000, you probably don't care, but The Police were like the hottest band up till like 1984, the year before this. The Police had just got off tour. Stuart Copeland did the theme song for Droids, and it's a catchy tune. It's not bad. It's like, you know, it's kind of rock pop, like lighter rock, whatever. And there's some really like badass like synthesizer music and shit in there. But yeah, Stuart Copeland, man, doing Star Wars. The 80s. I could go on forever about this show. I mean, I don't love it. And as a matter of fact, I don't even really care if I see all the rest of the episodes. I think I saw about 7 of them, all out of order and whatever. And I was entertained by every one of them. But I don't really care if I see the whole storyline all the way through. Like, I don't care if this all connects to Star Wars epic story in some way. Because it really doesn't. It doesn't. It's like it goes off on a tangent, and it makes sure that it keeps those Star Wars elements, but it does its own thing. Yeah, the writing's good, the animation's good, the music is good, everything about this is good, but it's not great. It's good. I don't know, B-. Anyway, I guess this kind of fills in the gap between Solo and my next planned review, which is Rogue One. You know, look forward to that one. Right here, I think we just checked off Star Wars 3.75. We're going straight to 3.9 in the next one. So until then, may the Force be with you, and have a good one, everybody.